Hey everybody, what's going on with the playoffs in full swing right now in the NHL? I think it's a good exercise to look at the Montreal Canadiens right now and say which Stanley Cup playoff team right now should the Montreal Canadiens try and emulate as they try to build a new look team heading towards the future. Now, the first answer you're likely going to think of when doing this exercise is the Colorado Avalanche, but I don't believe that's really a realistic expectation for where the Montreal Canadiens are heading. First off, you look at the Avalanche on defense. They're led by Cale Makar and Devon Taves, both of which are extremely effective defensemen, particularly Makar, who's continuously going to be up for the Norris Trophy for the next decade. The Montreal Canadiens just don't have a player in their system right now like a Cale Makar or even like a number one defenseman, really. You look at who they have in their system right now, there's a lot of 2, 3, 4, 5 type of players, but there's no real dynamic number one. And then you move along to the forward core, Nathan MacKinnon, Mikko Rantanen, Gabriel Landeskog. The Montreal Canadiens don't really have a type of centerman like Nathan MacKinnon in their system, or even that high 90 point to 100 point player like Mikko Rantanen. Shane Wright and company could be very good for the Montreal Canadiens in the future, especially if you go Shane Wright, Nick Suzuki as your number one and number two center. But I don't believe the Montreal Canadiens have that high octane offensive capability like the Colorado Avalanche currently have. Now, this might surprise a lot of people with the direction I'm looking to go here for which roster the Montreal Canadiens should try and perform like, and I believe that that's the Calgary Flames. A lot of the reason is because of how this roster is currently structured. If you look at their top six forward group, sure, there's some really dynamic players like Johnny Gaudreau, Matthew Tkachuk, and Elias Lindholm, but it's not the deepest forward core in the world. There's a lot of really good talent in that top six, and I think the Montreal Canadiens can do a good job of continuing that type of presence moving forward here. If you have a forward core and specifically top six with players like Nick Suzuki, Shane Wright, Cole Caulfield, you're going to be able to put pucks in the back of the net and also play defensively responsible hockey, much like Calgary does under Daryl Sutter. So I think it's important that the Montreal Canadiens continue to build that type of forward core moving forward. Like I said earlier, they just don't have that top line, top of the league player like a Nathan MacKinnon or a Mikko Rantanen. So I think this is the type of style that would be less well served, and the Montreal Canadiens can find success in doing so. And then if you look at the back end, there's a lot of similarities as well. The Montreal Canadiens have a lot of number two potential defensemen in their system, number threes, number fours, much like the Calgary Flames are currently rostered right now. They don't have that number one defenseman that a prototypical Stanley Cup team does have, but they have a lot of two, three, and four guys, and they play more of a defensive style by committee, and I think the Montreal Canadiens would be wise to play that style moving forward, most likely just because they don't have that game breaker like a Cale Makar on defense in their system. Goaltending might be something that's difficult to emulate for the Montreal Canadiens in terms of Calgary right now, because Calgary has that fantastic goalie in net at the moment who is likely going to be nominated for the Vezina Trophy this season in Jacob Markstrom. There's so much uncertainty surrounding Carey Price that we really can't say what's going to happen in the future, but you're just not going to see that goalie that plays 65 games plus anymore. If he does play, it'll likely be a split with Jake Allen, and that's not something the Montreal Canadiens can exactly be confident in moving forward. So goaltending is certainly going to be an area of concern and one that the Montreal Canadiens should look to upgrade this offseason or potentially the next one moving forward. That's it for me today from Cook's Corner. As always, let me know in the comment section down below what playoff team that is currently still around in the Stanley Cup playoffs you think the Montreal Canadiens should try to emulate moving forward. I'm Zach Cook. We'll see you later.